Hey, I'm here. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for listening to me talk, and I really do value and appreciate that people out there listen to me and my world, my journey, my story. And I didn't really feel compelled to even do like a little message today or a voice recording because, quite frankly, I've just been really in a really dark place, probably one of the darkest I've been in my life. I kind of have a little bit of a running joke in myself that just when you think it can't get any worse, and it does. So I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to say in this message. There is no thought form that was even current that I even thought I would go for before I even press record. So it's kind of like a venting or a cathartic chat to myself. And it is weird that I say, hey guys, when I'm talking, when clearly I'm talking to myself. So it's weird because I'm by myself, as I am quite a lot. And a lot of you probably are too, I would say, if you're out in the community, if you're an artist, if you're an artisan, if you're a bit of a spiritualist, an occultist, you probably are in some kind of little cocoon or some kind of little space that you've created for yourself that you can, tuck away into from the outside chaos of the world and the influence of the fast-pacedness of the world. And one of the things I've come to understand about myself, and I choose to share it because I really hope that someone out there can understand and listen and really receive me, is that as an artist or someone in the spiritual kind of field, self-help field, I guess you could say, we're kind of observers. The artisan side of us, the creator side of us, is watching the world outside around us and trying to make sense of it, trying to unpack it, trying to decipher between what is what, And it's a jungle, it's really a jungle out there. And I'm the first to admit it makes me get so sad and so depressed. And yeah, I'm just going to be vulnerable. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm being vulnerable right now. So, but I'm here and I'm showing up, and I've pushed myself to press record and just talk. So I don't mean to come across as like some kind of omniscient kind of being that is all-knowing. Although I do know many things, I feel that the more that I know, the less that I know. And I'm aware of that. My awareness of being aware is aware that I don't know. And that's how I know that I'm not. And I don't want to be taken as some kind of like prophet or some kind of person that you would come to when you need help, which I am for sure. But sometimes I need help too. We all do. And we all want to be seen, and we all need connection. And kind of appealing to the art side of myself right now is that when an artist really makes art, they're trying to express themselves in whatever way they can. So a lot of us are very sensitive beings. We internalize a lot of things that are happening out there and then try and unpack them in our head and then make something out of that is, a physical thing that you can show the world. And the fear of judgment, the fear of expectation that others place on us, or even the expectation that we place on ourselves, the perfectionist in us, is crippling. The darker side of the inner Virgo, if you've got that in you, it's very difficult because you're kind of at a war with yourself a lot of the time, and you don't know what you're doing, and you're stumbling and you're falling. And the real truth of it, I've come to really understand about life, is that it's really about experimentation and failure. And so this idea that success or the projection of success is very easily obtainable, and that like how it looks on Instagram or how it looks when you're scrolling through, it's just not realistic. It is a learnt skill when it comes to art, or when it comes to working on your ability, whatever ability and whatever gifts that might be. It doesn't, this doesn't just apply to people that are making art. Whatever your skill set is, we get better at it as we continue to practice it. And we tend to gravitate towards things that we enjoy doing because we tend to be good at them, and we tend to like to do things that we're good at. And then you kind of follow your passion, and your passion is where your purpose is. But when it comes to this field, it is very kind of all in your head. So your internal dialogue with yourself and your relationship to yourself is key. It's everything. It's paramount to you making anything and being productive, or it is really the thing that can get inside your head and really just fuck you up. And if you have time and you're in this kind of trapped state, which I think a lot of us were during COVID as well, is that a lot of us were forced into a state of really locking us down. So I did nearly 20 months. I did 18 months of lockdown all up. And I'm already quite isolated where I live to begin with. So it was very, very, very difficult. And the aftermath and the aftershock of that, I still feel like I'm processing that. And it's not to disvalue anyone else's experience, because if they went through lockdown, then they went through their own thing too. But for me, it nearly killed me. And it really shifted the way that I see life, the way that I see myself, and trying to create connections, trying to cultivate connections with people. It's a real landmine place. Like, you take one step and you get your foot blown off. And then you try and put your best, most authentic self forward to other people so that you feel that they can see you and understand you. And I don't know what people think of me. I mean, I don't know, like, we don't know. And I understand that I can't control what other people think of us. And we like to say that it doesn't matter. But in fact, in life, it's all about what other people think of us. It's how we're received. And how the world sees us is how we see ourselves. And we desperately need that, because it's intertwined into the human part of us that needs to be received by each other, because we're all part of each other. That tribal hunger that we all have. So we're all trying to create content, or we're trying to create an expression of something that we can show other people that validates us, so we can get that connection. So yeah, that's something that I'm just sharing with you now. So, if you're out there and you're listening and you're on this journey, and you're probably in your bedroom with the door shut, or you've got a little kind of armchair that you're working from, and you're listening to podcasts, maybe you're listening to me right now, I see you. I see you. I understand. You're not alone. Because I have to keep telling myself that every day, that I'm not alone. Although we live in a world now that's just purely all about fragmentation. Since the internet's kind of taken over, we've all kind of gone into this ether of the internet, and we've got to really understand the difference between what is real and what is not real. And then have the wisdom and the courage to face that, and then work out what is workable with us when we're all kind of like comparing each other or comparing ourselves to other people and seeing what they have and what they're doing and how their life is projecting. But we've got to remember that people are only putting forth the part of them that they think will be received best by us. So it's always that photoshopped, glossy, bright projection. And without our projection, we're nothing. I understand that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that I've been going through recently, and I'm going to share some things with you. So I'd like to know what you think. If you'd like to hear, please feel free to write a comment below if you relate to anything I'm about to say. And, it makes me feel seen. And it's nice to read comments. It's nice to engage with people. And I do really value it because it's so crazy. You can live in a city that's surrounded by people, but be completely and feel completely and utterly alone. And I would like to think that if you're listening to my videos, you probably already have an interest in what I'm interested in, because we've kind of found each other, and a part of me sees a part in you and a part of you sees a part of me in yourself, or whatever, vice versa. And so, yeah, I'm going to share something with you, and it's a bit of a struggle that I've had recently. I have done a video talking about a narcissist, or how to deal with a narcissist. And funnily enough, someone actually wrote in the comments, I wrote in my title, how to deal with a narcissist, part 1 and 2, or whatever I did. And someone wrote, plot twist, you don't. And I often thought that was quite funny. And I thought that's really interesting, that we have like narcissistic people, psychopathic people everywhere, probably the school teacher, they're probably your mum, they're probably the person down the road, they're everywhere. And trying to recognize what is workable with that person and what is not. It's a real head fuck, to be honest. So I think I'll share a bit of the context with it without going too far into this. I have a brain in my head is, like I said, it's a bit of a jungle at times, a lot of the time. And I'm struggling, I struggle with my own mental health every day, I'd figure out who I am, figure out where I fit in, am I looking right? Am I doing it right? Am I, is it projection right? Can they understand what I'm saying? Can I get connection? Where do I get connection? Are you the one? No, you're not the one. No, you might be the one. No, you're not the one. And I think what I'm saying in my heart, I'm tired. I'm just tired. Aren't you tired? Aren't you so very tired of this shit? Don't you just see a future situation unfolding before you, and because you can see it, it kind of takes out the enchantment of the situation? And then we kind of play dumb and pretend that we don't know what's going to happen when we know exactly what's going to happen. And then if I say that, it sounds egotistical, but I'm being just so very truthful here. That's how I feel a lot of the time. I think people use spirituality as a coping mechanism and a projection point for them to meet their own narcissism and feel validation. And they're giving advice on relationships, and they're giving advice on how to build a business, and they're giving advice on how to do certain things when they themselves aren't even anywhere near practicing what they're talking about. We see that quite a lot. And hey, I understand. So I'm going to talk briefly about a situation that's recently happened, and it's funny that it really is true when we don't do the shadow work, and we don't bring up stuff and unpack it, and we don't or are not willing to try and resolve something in our head, how it can just stay there in the back of our subconscious, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just can explode. The unchecked shadow. And it's complicated because I think in my brain, I'm just speaking purely out of my own head right now, is that I have a bit of a memory that can kind of go back and relive things very, very vividly, very truthfully back to myself. So I tend to really punish myself, where I'll go back and try and, I guess what I'm trying to do is close a link in my brain where I'm trying to understand what happened in a situation. And so I replay it in my head again and again and again and again on a loop, trying to understand something that would have happened with someone that, or a situation that had happened in my life, so I can kind of like close the loop. But I can't. The problem I've had recently is with an individual is that the loop was never closed. And yes, I am talking about a narcissist here, possibly a sociopath or a psychopath. And that's one of the things that can really head fuck us, or it's head fucked me, is that someone comes into your life and at some point when you're already quite vulnerable and you let your guard down and you let them in and you start to believe what they say, you start to feel that it's real, you start to think that this could be a real connection and there could be even love here. And all of the, your endorphins are firing and you feel alive and you feel really excited and everything's kind of happening and you're in this really kind of happy place because it makes you so happy. And for me, it was this connection where I'm a bit of a man, I guess. Yeah, I'm a man with a mind. So I need a mental connection. That's one of the things that I need. It's one of my love languages. So in fact, if I feel that you can't understand me, then I don't feel that you can receive me. And then in my higher self, it just all feels like a complete waste of time. And I think a lot of us are like that too. Because we're not just going to base a relationship purely on the consumption of sex. Although a lot of dynamics in relationships are, but how far can that ever really go? It can't go far. It just burns out. And I've got to take into context also the culture that I'm in, the people, in the country that I'm in. We've got to take into account how technology's changed the way that we date. It's changed the way that we connect with each other. It's all very instantaneous and it's all very transactional. When you put an app out there and you're trying to show the world who you are, you really just have this little square on an app and a little bit of a bio that you can write about yourself. And generally it's all purely based on the aesthetic. And I'm so fucking tired of it. And I feel that people need to place more value on relationships because it's really very dangerous when a society just has this viewpoint where we just look at each other all as disposable. And the person that's on the app that's looking for this super person is doing the same thing the other person on the other end of the app on the other phone that they're talking to is doing exactly at the same time. So yeah, I'm giving you some context. So basically I had a person come in and completely love bomb me. And this, I know this sounds crazy and it's really upsetting to say, but this, yeah. I'm being vulnerable here. So, you judge me. This is the truth, but it's my story and it's how I've kind of tried to wrestle with it and come to terms with it. Is that it happened 6 years ago and it was around the time of my 30th birthday. Basically what happened was I got ghosted after I was completely love bombed, and I tasted something that I barely ever get to taste in my heart, in myself, and then I never understood why the person ghosted me. And it was actually the second time that I had been ghosted by this person. And to them, it probably meant nothing. Like they couldn't care less. There's probably got, 5 other people on rotation and I'm just one of them. We've got to get really aggressively real when it comes to how people, date and how people play the field and how people interact with each other, and different types of demographics, work that way. And I remember saying to this person, like, if you're not into me, please just let me know. I totally get it, but just be honest with me. And I told them, I shared a bit of my past, my life, some of my vulnerabilities. And they're the person that's like, no, it's all good. No, I wouldn't do anything to hurt you, kind of thing. And of course, it just hurts even more when they're the person that said they won't hurt you is the person that completely and utterly abandons you with no reason or understanding, really. And I have talked about this before in another video, that in a relationship, the person that can pull away from the other person the first is the one that can regain control in the relationship when they feel out of control in the relationship, generally for having to be vulnerable. but you can't really build a relationship unless you are vulnerable. And you can't have safety in a relationship unless you bring that safety into a relationship. When I say safety, I mean like just walking out the door and disappearing. So yeah, I was ghosted for the second time. And as a result, I really internalized that deeply. I took that as there was something really wrong with me. And because we don't get that closure, we can't really close the loop. And they've moved on, the other person's terminated the connection, and then you're kind of stuck in this place where you don't know what you did, you don't know what was it about me, what can I work on, you don't know. But at the same time, if they've ghosted you and treated you poorly, you can't really trust the narcissist or the person to tell you the truth because they've already proven that they're not trusting. And this leads me to the point, I guess, of where the video or this podcast is going, is that I'm trying to get closure on a loop that's been in my head for 6 years, really bothering me. They say that, the deeper the cut, the harder the longer it takes to heal. And I can't include that person in my resolution to get the resolution because obviously they're gone. So you have to kind of figure out a way to live with it and close it down in your head. But as I've come to understand through just listening to some podcasts and really doing some research and reading quite a lot about psychology and about how a narcissist works, is that they tend to not want to close anything down. They tend to leave the relationship end kind of in this open place. That way they can come back later if they want to. And so it's the power play that goes on where they know that you're thinking of them, or they know that they've pulled away from you and you don't know why. That makes them feel in control, or it makes them feel powerful. And it can be completely demeaning, and it is to someone's self-esteem and someone's sense of self-worth. And when you really fuck with someone's sense of self-worth, they start to, it really affects their whole life, especially if you're an artist and you're trying to create. And I live on my own and I don't go out a lot. I'm not an overly social person, and I don't use a lot of vices of distraction to distract myself. I just work through my stuff and face it raw and real. I don't do drugs and I don't numb it with alcohol. I tend to have this kind of Puritan approach to life where I just want to experience life in all of its agonizing fucking glory, the highs and the lows, and just experience it. And then, of course, I had to pull some of my own self-respect for myself back in. And over the years, this individual has popped up on apps or has popped up from time to time and asked me how I'm going, how's my dog, or kind of tapping me online. And I've been very nice. I was very courteous. I didn't want drama and I didn't want to fight and I didn't want to get baited again. And I knew that I couldn't trust them. So I just replied back with, please just leave me alone. And then a couple of months or a year would go by, and then this individual would pop up again online. And this time their profile status would say in a relationship. So obviously they're in an open relationship or some kind of polyamorous relationship. And now they're poking you, or poking me in this case, now that they're in a relationship, when it feels like they never gave you a chance and then abandoned you. So it's a real head fuck. It's a real head fuck. And it really, I'm sharing it in this message, but it just really, over the years, it just kind of took a toll, and it's kind of like played on my mind. And, it's one thing to ghost someone, but to keep coming back and just to keep antagonizing and poking the bear, kind of, so to speak. It all just kind of came to a head, and I kept pushing it away. Don't want to look at it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to, but it all just, and it just literally exploded in a really horrible way. And it all happened last Wednesday, and yeah, I was really deeply, deeply affected by an individual that I haven't even seen in 6 years, but still keeps doing this to me. And I'm the one that was blocking them, and then they just upload the profile and come back again and do it again. And I snapped. There's like the straw that broke the camel's back. I have a lot of other stresses in my life as well, so it's not just this, but this was like a big contributing factor in my head. So yeah, I hope that kind of explains the context of this whole thing. And the really hard part and the sad part about all of it is that I decided to diarize what I was feeling. I decided to write down in words to try and get out what I wanted to say to this individual, to this person. Sorry, just give me 1 sec, guys. I'm just taking out something. And I decided to talk about it with them. I decided to basically just tell them how they made me feel, tell them how upsetting it is that they keep doing this to me. If you understand what I'm talking about, you'll understand it's kind of like a reeling in, where the person kind of keeps throwing a line out, trying to pull you in again to try and get the adulation or the attention from you. And then, of course, I resisted it. And then it all came to a head on Saturday, and I actually ended up sending them a really hardcore and well put together message that just explained how they made me feel, and also, just how it impacted me, how something, it's really interesting. And I've really learned something out of this, that we've got to be so very careful with how we treat others, because we can deeply affect someone and not even have a clue at all, in really horrible ways. And this is something that's happened to me. And it was more of a release for me. It was more of a cathartic thing where I just wanted to get this off my chest and just tell this person, like, this is how you make me feel based on your behavior and what you did to me, and call them out. I did not exaggerate. I did not embellish. I did not lie. I was so very truthful in what I wrote to this person, and I just wrote it and sent it. And also, this person had also fucked me around. That actually, at one stage, they had given me a fake phone number. So the last few digits of the number that they'd given me was actually someone else. And I would say that was intentional as well. And when I confronted them and said, hey, the number that you gave me, I don't think that's your number. They're like, oh, didn't I? Oh, I thought it was. Sorry. And to make it worse, unbeknownst to them and me at the time, the person that I was texting, thinking it was this person, was actually someone else pretending to be them, which just rubbed insult into the wound. Yeah. So I know it sounds crazy, but this is what happened. And I'm sure you guys have got crazier stories too, but I'm just sharing this one in particular with you. And it was more about me sharing my truth with this person to say, hey, this is how you've affected me. And obviously that would require some level of accountability for that person to say, hey, to look at that and say, hey, you're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have fucked around with you like that. I didn't mean to do it or whatever. But they did. They were told multiple times to leave me alone, and they didn't. And so I got a response that was very upsetting, which even made it worse, where they just wrote back saying, it's all on you. It's all in your head. And how dare you contact me? This is inappropriate. and called me narcissistic for telling them how they made me feel, when I was the one who wanted to be left alone after they had done what they did, and then all I did was tell them how they made me feel, and now I'm being called that. And it just really doesn't sit well in my heart, and it doesn't sit well in my being. It's very upsetting, but this is what a narcissist does. They throw it back on you. So it's like gaslighting you and saying to me that it's inappropriate that I've contacted them when they're the ones that were poking me for all those years. Is that appropriate? Yeah. So this is a bit of a story that's just happened recently, and it's come to a head. And that's the thing that I've come to terms with, and I want to share it in this message. In life, sometimes we can't get closure with certain people, and we never will. Their behavior is the closure, and then we have to close it off, and we can't let it in. We can't let it in because they're not capable of that level of introspection and self-reflection to look at their own behavior and their own self and how that impacts other people. And that tends to be how it kind of is going now in society, is that everyone's kind of disposable, and it's a bit of an ego boost to use someone and then discard them. And I will say I've come to understand and really unpack a lot of this sexual psychology that's kind of, I feel, has really trickled into the mainstream of how we all think. And I've got to say that I'm just thinking how to word it. When we fetishize someone sexually, we're taking out the human part of them to do that. Okay, so when we are making someone and reducing someone down to an object that we use for pleasure and then discard them, we're taking out the care part of that. So it's not actually love, it's actually abuse. And I think a lot of people are getting really caught up or have lost the ideology of what connection really is. Real loving, caring, deep connection is not a transactional thing that just comes and goes, where we can fragment ourselves. I don't think we can do that, not intentionally, no. I've come to understand that. So anyone who kind of has this kind of open, aloof kind of attitude to life, I don't take things too seriously. They only tend to take things seriously when it's in their favor of something to gain. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, a lot of people that I see in my community really think that rape is love, rape is affection, and it's actually not. It's abuse. And it just scares me a lot to think that this is happening more and more and more and more. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. This is what I've been going through. I've had the courage to be, and I see it from the point of, I had the courage. It took me 6 years to write that message to that person, because I was quite happy to let it go, but they're the one that kept poking me or woofing at me, as it's said. And that's my story. And I'm kind of on the other side of it. And it's like, they take no accountability for any of it. And I'm the crazy person, which I'm not. I'm not a crazy person. I'm not. But I guess that's how people tend to see us or want to put us in that place. If you're in the same kind of self-awareness thing that I'm in, then you're probably the black sheep of the family, not understood. And this is all some crazy thing in our head. And it just makes me sad, because it just couldn't be further from the truth. And a lot of us are some of the most loving, caring people that you could actually find. And I don't enjoy, and who does? No one enjoys being fucked around, being jerked around, being reeled in, pulled away, pushed away, rejected, reeled in, pushed away, rejected. Yeah. So have a thought. If you're being dishonest with someone, and hey, I understand, it's really important that we're willing to tell the truth about our feelings towards other people, and not just say some words. Really fucking mean it and show it, and show them in your behavior that you are serious about a connection with someone. And if you're going to let them go, let them go. Because it's so damaging and jarring to keep fucking with someone. Maybe you are a psycho and you just enjoy the thrill of it. And it's all just a bit of spice and it's a bit of fun and games. But I can assure you it is no game. Life is not a game. Other human beings are not a toy for you to play with when you're bored or need some validation, or when you're horny, or when your wife's away, or when your partner's not there and you want to have some fun with someone else. It impacts people. And it's real. And I'm talking about the real thing here, guys. So I hope that all makes sense. But don't fuck people around if you don't want to be fucked around. Be honest. Tell the truth. Even if it hurts. Tell the truth. Even if you're shaking. Even if you're trembling. Tell the truth. And even if you know you're going to get shut down for it anyway, and someone else is just going to put it all on you and be like, it's all in your head. Still have the courage and the strength to stand up and just say your truth. Because when we speak our truth, the world just gets a little bit better. And I believe the vibration of truth is higher than the vibration of a lie. 1,000 times stronger. And energetically, in time with certain people and this behavior, and you probably know people like this, or you've experienced these types of people, they will only create the same dynamic of relationship that they created with you with someone else. So you didn't miss out on anything. Okay, how people treat each other is really paramount to obviously emotional empathy and compassion and emotional intelligence. So whoever gets them next, in whatever capacity, whether it is a loving, caring, stable relationship, it can't be if the other person isn't loving, caring, and brings stability in a relationship. So yeah, I just wanted to share this experience today. Thank you so much for listening to me talk about this and share it and get it, out there. I hope that people out there have listened to it and someone out there who can relate. But feel free to leave a comment below if you'd like to, And I'm sending you love, and be gentle on each other. Be gentle on yourself. Sometimes I think I can be just unbelievably hard on myself. And it doesn't do me any favors. It's like I'm in a fight with myself and it really hurts me. But I'm a tough guy. I'm a smart guy. And I feel that I've got myself well put together. I feel like I am, worthy. I am articulate. But this incident really brought me down to the ground. And rather than doing some message where I'm like, I'm some tough dude or blah, 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 I'm just being vulnerable and real and raw in this recording. So hopefully it encourages other people to do the same, and then the world gets a little bit better. So I'll leave it here. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, please do. If you enjoy my videos, please give them a thumbs up or forward them to someone else who might benefit from them. If you'd like to hear me talk about a topic that you'd like me to share my thoughts on with, then please feel free to, you can DM me on Instagram at Algoliath Tarot Deck, or you can write an email as well at info@the Tarot Deck, and I'm always around, and I want to hold space for people. If you're going to fight for me, I want to fight for you. And lots of love, and thank you so much for your time. Have a really good day, a really good night, wherever you are out there. Okay. Bye.